Members are requested to be seated, please. We'll be commencing the session soon.
thanks for this opportunity. Normally, I interact with engineers. I myself am a fuel cell engineer working on hydrogen technologies. But of course, there are interesting developments as technologies, and we are starting to look seriously at bioenergy opportunities and biohydrogen and bioenergy for fuel cells, etc. So I think it's sort of a bit natural that I am now starting to get opportunities to interact with such a gathering here. Thanks a lot once again. And about myself, I'm a chair of energy conversion at the University of Groningen in the Netherlands. It's a 500 years old university. And I also act as a director of hydrogen economy at the university. And why hydrogen in this region, and why there is a directorship for hydrogen? I'll come to that. But something interesting to note is there's a massive wave of renewable energy now that's taking place. So if you look at the introduction of renewable energy technologies in large scale, so first stage probably we had technology development, small scale pilots, and then local, regional systems. But now renewable energy introduction is massive. It's expected to be massive with significant investments and changes in technologies, changes in practices, and this also brings in opportunities, many new opportunities also for the plantation sector. Now, renewable energy is also becoming cheaper. See, one of the recent agreements, so we had, from Middle East, less than 2 cents per kilowatt hour for solar energy. So this is a serious change. And if you think of a fuel like one liter of petrol, we might get say 40 megajoules, roughly 40 plus, and we might end up paying 100 rupees for that. And if you have 12 units of solar energy, storage, then hydrogen production is an option. Electrolysis is a technology we use. And we end up producing hydrogen for, say, €2 plus. Some companies in India are very optimistic. Reliance announced a $1 per kilogram hydrogen program, say $1 per kilogram in 10 years. This is what Reliance announced. It's a bit optimistic, maybe 1 plus $2. That should still be okay because the energy content, the calorific value of hydrogen is roughly 3 times when compared to other fossil fuels we have. So it need not be expensive if we get hydrogen at this price. But then, it's also possible to produce hydrogen, say at €2 plus, from biomass. Well, one approach is to go for gasification, and it's a bit tricky and complicated technology, but there are also these easier options, and I will come to that. So it's possible to produce hydrogen at €2 plus from biomass. This is an opportunity for plantation sector, and this is to bring in such a change. And we have an organization called New Energy Coalition. So we work together. But why Groningen? Because it's the largest natural gas pipelines to other places in Europe. So if you think of natural gas pipeline in Europe, one end is Russia, maybe the other end could be, say, Groningen, one of the. And natural gas storage facilities are there. So the infrastructure for energy production economy there to continue. One option is hydrogen, because no electricity production from North Sea wind systems, Groningen could be the first landing point for this energy for mainland Europe. So you produce hydrogen, use large-scale salt cavern, and use repurposed from Groningen to other places in Europe. So this is the hydrogen opportunities in the region. That's why it became the first hydrogen valley of Europe, and also the first best hydrogen valley of Europe, or the hydrogen valley of the year 2022, etc. So it's a major initiative, and that's also one reason we actually have several global partnerships emerging, well, academic and industry to industry, etc. in the region. So if you look at, so you have different production methods for hydrogen. You have hydrogen trucks, hydrogen buses, hydrogen transport pipelines, underground salt caverns, all being tested and tried in the region. It's a full hydrogen ecosystem being developed. It's several large-scale energy companies, etc., getting into to this business. And other countries are now trying to follow up. So there are close to 100 hydrogen valleys coming up across the globe. India is planning to have 4 hydrogen valleys. So Department of Science and Technology came up with a competition. 4 states are now selected. One is Kerala, the second one is Pune, third one is Rajasthan, and fourth one is Orissa. So 4 states are selected. Organizations all working together, we developed something called Hydrogen Valley Campus Europe. So that's also, as the director of hydrogen economy, my main responsibility, connecting with the companies, research institutes, and the universities and the government. This is from 2018. An answer. Atmosphere will buy society valuable time. The IPCC is now working on a report on strategies to keep warming to under published. So it's already published. Heavily on negative emissions. And scientists must continue to spell out to policymakers the harsh reality of what this would be. These are extremely important. And biohydrogen is exactly such an opportunity. So it's not only about scientists interacting with other societal players, including governments and industry. It's all becoming important. This is the core message from Nature editorial. And this was immediately followed up by a position paper from 2 senior professors from 2 of the most well-known technical universities in the world, MIT, Boston, and Stanford. And they suggested if you really look at very large-scale negative emission systems, biohydrogen is such an opportunity. So we need to bring together biological sciences and engineering sciences. Now, if you look at biofuel production and integrated management, etc., in plantations, this is exactly such an opportunity. So that's also why University of Delft and a couple of IITs started supporting the Wayanad carbon neutrality program, because we found such an opportunity. We found it as an opportunity for Wayanad, but we also found it as a global opportunity to use modern science in bringing in societal changes. So this is the starting point for us, the universities, for the Wayanad carbon neutrality program, in which we actually have several negative emission technologies employed. So the Wayanad partnership, it's an ongoing program. It's farmer focused, so resilience, etc., very important. It's government supported. Also Dutch government through an organization called NL Works. Affairs and Foreign Affairs, together with the Employers Association of Netherlands. They also are supporting this. Kerala government is supporting it. We have Government of India support, and multiple researchers and research institutions, etc., all active. And if you look at what's the program, well, it's about shade coffee conversion. Well, I don't say shade coffee conversion because coffee plantations in Kerala and also in Wayanad are shade coffee plantations, but we could still increase tree cover. Now, increase tree cover and connect it with soil management, soil carbon increase, production of biofuels, and so introduction of renewable energy whenever possible, not only bioenergy, but maybe even solar energy wherever it's possible. I'll come to that. And so if we have agroforestry systems, so instead of coffee only or tea only, well, tea, then it's a bit more tricky. I'm not an expert, so I could actually go wrong. My apologies in advance. But at least if you think of jackfruit, jack trees, or rambutan, mangosteen, etc., all in coffee plantation. So if we have food-producing trees, this brings up the opportunity for bringing in food technology and food industry, together with biofuel production and the part of carbon going for soil management, all supported with advanced technologies such as remote sensing, artificial intelligence, all when needed, advanced food technology and food industry initiatives. And why Netherlands and food industry? It's a small country with 1.5 crore people plus. And it's the second largest processed food exporting country in the world. So it's the second largest processed food exporting country in the world, and that's because of food processing knowledge, farming and food processing knowledge in the country. So we thought it's a good partnership to build. Now, well, okay, so we had a this newspaper report is from this year. Wayanad Robusta coffee shines at well 2022. A Dutch team visit next week to push Wayanad coffee to the world stage. So of introducing negative emission technologies, especially in plantation sector, with income generation. So the details, if you like, please feel it's free to download paper. Of Frontiers. Frontiers is a journal, and a special issue edited by myself. I was one of the editors, together with Dr. Ray Rui from MIT Boston. The editors. Several of the Wayanad connected papers are actually published in this special issue. Our approach and the scientific foundations and the basis. So we have a couple of publications detailing out the program. But in simple terms, it's about monocropping. So coffee, reduction of fruit yielding trees. And if you do that, well, as you all know, we have possible extra income from food production, maybe in certain cases timber, and the biomass could be used for producing biofuel and biochar. Is it readable? Okay. So biochar could be used for soil amendment. And if we have such an approach, we might end up sequestering around 10 ton CO2 per hectare. And if you do that, and if you look at the extra income from biofuel, from timber, from food produce, etc., we might also be able to double the farmer's income. So that's what the guess we have, the hypothesis we have at this stage. Now, this is not only our thoughts. Academia are certainly finding interest, and we talk passionately about new technologies and new opportunities. But when it comes to consultancy companies, they digest these developments a bit and they start writing, then the world also starts listening carefully. This is from Boston Consulting Group. And what they wrote, I think it's from last year, biogas can help global shipping go green. And if you look at now companies like Japanese car makers, they're all together, working together. I think Suzuki and, I don't know, at least three companies working together came up with biomethane-based engine for their cars. This also happened this year. So biofuels are being taken seriously, especially as storable fuels. And biogas, from biogas, bio-CNG production. Removing CO2 with scrubbing or filtering out and compressing it. But the bio-CNG as a fuel could be used for transportation applications. If it is for shipping, it might become bio-LNG. And such developments are certainly bringing new opportunities for the plantation sector. And now about Government of India. So this is from the Minister, Honorable Minister Gadkari. India, farmers and biohydrogen. So soon our farmers will produce green fuel and green hydrogen. And Government of India is coming up with plans and policies for supporting this. So this is certainly an emerging opportunity also for the plantation sector. Now, so we try to bring in all these technologies and opportunities in our Wayanad program. In Wayanad program, it's all about shade coffee conversion wherever it's needed, otherwise more trees, planting more trees, and using a part of biomass for biofuel production, carbon for soil amendment, all supported with advanced technologies such as remote sensing, bioenergy technologies, soil amendment and water management taken together, timber for construction, etc. Also, there is a new concept introduced, tree banking. So if trees are planted, and if we use remote sensing, and if we have a platform to monitor the growth of trees, then it might be possible to use these trees for loans for farmers. So normally, if you plant a tree, you can sell the timber after 40 years, right? So, but if you can actually if you can monitor tree growth properly with the help of remote sensing, and then we can actually convert these trees as bankable assets. That's probably one way to encourage farmers also to think of planting more trees, together with developing a multi-product ecosystem. Well, together with this, agrivoltaics is also emerging. This is from Department of Energy, the United States. So wherever there are not trees in large plantations, it's possible to think of bringing in solar photovoltaic systems. And you might actually think of other fuel production, including water splitting and hydrogen production from the plantations, or using electricity for other applications with microgrids, etc. So there are plenty of new emerging technologies, and Government of India is also seriously also looking at these technological developments very, very seriously. Uh, so why not coffee status and achievements? So there's a new company called Kerala Coffee Limited is formed by the government to support the initiative. There are science and knowledge activities as of now. Several farmers, small-scale farmers were selected at this stage. That's what's happening. And some of the farmers were actually even sent to Copenhagen for the coffee event. And this program is now supported by several organizations: Coffee Board, Agriculture University, Technical University, IITs in India, TCS, Tata Consultancy Service, and University of Delft, University of Groningen, and many other universities from different countries. So this is a coffee program, but such opportunities we will actually probably find also in other sectors. Tea, it might be possible to think of intercropping and maybe shade trees in tea plantations. Production might come down, but it might be possible to compensate that in different possible ways. And one funding opportunity, at least for Kerala, it's emerging is KERA program. It's a World Bank program with close to, say, $300 million. And it's for sustainable farming. And it's not sure that we will be able to get funding from this program, but we have serious discussions. And there are many such opportunities emerging. And if you look at KERA, it's about resilience and mitigation in agriculture, agribusiness and food systems, enhancing also smallholder commercialization for value addition, etc. So that's a major program coming up. But also bio-CNG. If you look at, if I understand correctly, I hope I'm not wrong, Government of India is thinking of investments above 1 lakh crores for bio-CNG production. All oil PSUs are now seriously involved. And so it might be possible to team up with oil PSUs and large-scale plantations for bio-CNG production. It's actually the first and easiest step for bioenergy introduction. So if you look at all other plantation crops, I gave a coffee example. Similar opportunities, except tea, cardamom, coconut, etc. Farmers' income enhancement might be really possible, all the while building up climate resilience. So integrated soil, water, and energy management. Because soil carbon content, we thought about carbon biochar for soil amendment and increasing soil carbon content. As of now, Idiki, Wayanad, etc., we actually try to measure the soil carbon content. We found it as close to 1% in most places. If you look at Netherlands, it's between 2 to 4%. Carbon is porous. It helps with water retention. And it also helps with nutrient recycling, and it might help with in bringing down chemical fertilizer usage. So you can actually have an integrated approach connecting all this. Bioenergy, there are emerging investment opportunities, and there are investors looking for opportunities to work together. I know that there is at least one company willing to think of willing to invest 100 crore rupees if there is a major partner for agro-waste to bio-CNG. Also, there are many such opportunities emerging. And bio-CNG, probably an immediate opportunity in India. Maybe starting with bio-CNG, probably expanding to biohydrogen in the future. So these are some of the new opportunities in addition to, say, becoming an active player in the energy transition that's taking place all across the globe. And it's also an opportunity to introduce new technologies. If you introduce remote sensing for whatever, tree growth monitoring, or soil carbon measurement, immediately you can also use these systems for monitoring the state of the health for plants, control use of fertilizers and pesticides, etc. So it's an opportunity also for bringing in new technologies. And there is one university, University of Wageningen, one of the most famous agriculture universities in the world. It's from the Netherlands. And so a couple of years ago, they actually they're called as a technical university now, not an agriculture university. In the Netherlands, there were 3 technical universities, Delft, Wageningen, and Twente, and we had a federation, 3 TU federation. There's a 4 TU federation now, with Wageningen University also called as a technical university, because I think farming is becoming so technology intensive. And this is probably an opportunity also to think differently and bringing new technologies. That's all from my side. Thank you very much. Is there questions?
So, there any questions? You can sit. You'd like to have?
Doctor, thank you for promoting the biogas. Glad to hear that. Few of my customers, Albertsons and Walmart, they are into it. Just a question of curiosity, in India, have you ever done the production of the biogas? And what was the cost of production per kilo?
Okay. Now, Indore is known as the cleanest city in India, right? And their cleanliness program is heavily supported by a bio-CNG production unit, 500 ton per day domestic weight. And if I understand correctly, I'm not the right person to come up to give these numbers, but they expect somewhere between 40 to 55 rupees for producing 1 kilogram of bio-CNG. And the market price is close to 80 rupees. And
80 rupees, okay.
Yeah, this could be produced locally and could be consumed locally.
So you say it's cheaper than our fossil fuel?
Exactly.
Okay.
And the bio-CNG buses, bio-CNG trucks are all possible now. So there could be local opportunities for production and utilization, thus helping the local economies.
Just another question, it's deviated from the topic that you said. Today, the fossil fuel produce a lot of carbon, but in a different shape, carbon monoxide, to be more precise. Somewhere down the presentation, you said that we could store the carbon. We could store the carbon, and we could put it back to the Mother Earth.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried that on a fossil fuel?
Sorry?
Have you ever tried that on a fossil fuel?
No, but it doesn't make sense, right? Because if we well, CO2, well, it does make sense, sorry, my apologies.
Because you said about CO2.
Yeah, no, CO2 capture and storage is being seriously considered by many countries and companies. But then still it's a carbon neutral approach, right? It's we might need negative emissions. We might have to bring in even CO2 bring down atmospheric CO2 percentage. So CO2 storage is being looked out, especially depleted natural gas fields, etc., or oil fields. That's being seriously looked at, but it only adds the cost. It's never, here we are trying to find, say, income generating opportunities. But if you add CO2 storage to any fossil fuel system, it only increases costs. So it's being tried out. It's still technologies are being developed. It's important to work on those technologies, but also there are other opportunities.
Are there any companies today in India promoting biogas or utilizing the biogas? Any sector?
Well, all Indian oil PSUs. So BPSCL, IOC, they all have formed JVs with other players in bio-CNG production and utilization. And if I understand correctly, maybe I'm wrong, this is, Maruti is seriously working on switchgrass to bio-CNG with very large farm for this. And and all these Japanese companies, they worked together in coming up with a biomethane engine last year. So there are companies, and I think also the large oil companies are private sector energy companies like the Adani Group and the Reliance, etc., are all seriously looking at the opportunities.
Thank you.
Give the mic.
Doctor, one thing is that when we talk about, you're talking about how to become carbon neutral or carbon negative and monetize from that. See, our existing plantations, if you look at it, you are asking to add on things by doing biochar, doing other things to increase the value. If you look at our plantations, the existing crop itself has got a huge potential. I would say from 40 to 200 metric tons of carbon is getting sequestrated every year. in plantations, but we are not looking at that fact. Okay, not are we neither are we looking at ways how we can monetize this for the benefit of the farmers. We are asking them to do things additionally, like biochar. Biochar is not an easy project. It is a very expensive project. It is not easy for small growers to do it. Ultimately, what happens is that they will not get a benefit. So existing plantations, to understand how much sequestration can be done by changing agronomic practices to enhance the carbon storage in the ecosystem and benefit from it will be a major area. Is what my concern is, like.
Thanks a lot. It's a very interesting question. This is not rocket science, but it's a very tricky field. It's a very slippery field. So forests. So if you have a stable forest ecosystem, maybe there is no carbon sequestration, continuous carbon sequestration. Carbon is stored 400 or 500 years ago when the forests, or thousands of years ago. But otherwise, all the carbon CO2 taken in is somehow emitted back because soil carbon doesn't change, number of trees doesn't, that's not changing, and the carbon carried by the trees, it's also not changing. But if you destroy the forest, all this carbon will come back. Now, the plantations, it's true that as trees grow, as plants grow, carbon is taken in. And if you use it for construction, so if you have biomass-based construction, might be possible to store this carbon for next, say, 50 to 100 years. And countries are looking at this seriously. Japan, for example, there is a city in Japan, they are looking at a 40-story building all from wood. And in Scandinavia, they are thinking of building a new city completely out of wood-based construction. So if you really look at such possibilities, then plantations might help in storing carbon. Otherwise, it's a bit tricky thing. And so soil carbon percentage, we have seen in Wayanad and all 1% plus. Maybe we were expecting 2 to 3% at least. And if we actually could change soil carbon percentage by 0.25% plus globally, the global warming problem maybe is over. So soil carbon is very serious. Farming, if we do it carefully, might result in, and biochar is not the only option. Simple mulching, even simple mulching when it's done, well, I cannot say scientifically because nobody has really looked at how to do mulching for soil carbon increase. Or even irrigation in certain cases, increases soil carbon. So there are different ways to look at soil carbon increase, and plantations could definitely contribute, but all this need to be different angles. Science, and that's why plantations and
in the wood of the plant, and that is again getting into furniture or whatever it is happening. It is getting completely fixed, which has got a
nitrogen is separated. So what you get at the fuel side is CO2 and steam. You cool it down, you get CO2. So without solvents, it might be possible to separate. If you look at large-scale hydrogen economy, all this hydrogen is produced with splitting water vapor. You produce oxygen. And you use oxygen and for burning biofuels, and then condense out water, you still get CO2. And you don't need a solvent. So there are different approaches, but of course science and technology development is needed.
Yes, thank you, sir. Also, for hydrogen production, do you recommend the production from biomass over the ones which are taken from metal oxides, where we produce hydrogen at a laboratory cost?
Sorry?
We produce hydrogen using metal oxides, right? So do you prefer that, or the more from biofuels?
We need to look at all the technologies, and biohydrogen is certainly interesting.
So I would suggest you can have a discussion with
Sure.
Dr. Arvind
Thank you.
separately. Anyway,
Thank you,
thank you, Dr. Arvind, for this excellent presentation. Can I call upon our past president, Mr. MP Cherian, to come up and hand over a memento to Dr. Arvind? Next, we will proceed with the presentation by Dr. Amitava Akuli. Dr. Amitava Akuli earned his PhD in electronics and instrumentation from Jadavpur University, Kolkata in 2021. He is currently an associate director at the Center for Development of Advanced Computing, also known as CDAC in Kolkata, a leading R&D institute under India's Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, MITI. His research focuses on machine vision, sensors, IoT, data analysis, and AI ML. Dr. Akuli has developed several innovative instruments, including InnoVision for black tea quality monitoring, Anand Darpan for rice quality estimation, and Resham Darshan for silk yarn color characterization. He holds 13 patents, 16 software copyrights, and 3 technology transfers, and has published over 30 research papers. His accolades include the CSI Young Scientist IBM Award, Telangana AI Mission Grand Challenge Award, and SCOC Smart Technology Award, among others. Let me invite Dr. Amitava Akuli to make his presentation on AI-based aerial imaging solution for detecting pest attacks in tea. One of the biggest threats to tea production is pest infestation, which can devastate crops and lead to significant losses. Early detection and rapid response are crucial to minimize damage, and the traditional methods of monitoring and identifying pest attacks are time-consuming, labor-intensive, and often reactive. Let us hear more from Dr. Akuli on the subject.
Give a ping. Okay, after 20 minutes. Sure. Very good morning to all of you. I have heard about this carbon negative, and we are switching the concept to carbon negative bio to AI, computer science. And my title of the presentation, that is AI-based imaging solution for detection of pest attack in tea leaves using aerial imaging. It's a long sentence. So let me break up the sentence to easily understand what does it mean. First one, I like to draw in tea leaves. So that is our objective. station. This is the project funded by NTRF, T-Board Government of India, and it was funded last year. Only 1 year, 3 months has been passed. And I'm going to report the progress of the particular area, what the project we have done, what is the achievement till now. But till we have to go along for 2 years is left in this particular project. And we are not alone. SEDAC, UPASI is there, UPASI TRF, they are our implementing partner along with Kharagpur IIT. So combining these 3 institutional effort, we are going to develop an AI ML based solution for quick detection of pest attack. So I need not tell about tea because all of you know the back history of tea, what India is growing, what is the position of India in tea export market. But I need to point out that why this problem comes. The tea planters are expecting several challenges due to lack of prior information on pests and diseases and climate related impacts. Basically, this is the South India is facing this problem in 2020 to 2022 or 2023. South India is facing several problems regarding that. That gives us to come to that particular research, and we are proposing some solution. I am not an entomologist, but when I am learning this subject, I have to little bit knowledge I have to earn that gathered that what is pest, what is disease, and I found in tea mosquito bug, thrips, red spider mites are basically the pest that tea plantations we will find basically, and disease basically we find blister blight and grey blight. But this particular project, we are highly focused on tea mosquito bug only. So whenever I'll talk, I'll focus on tea mosquito bug. Parallelly, we are doing some research on other pests as well, but mainly focus on this. Satellite images is one option for remote sensing that already my previous speaker told about that. Taking the image of the satellite, we can do some analysis to find out that today morning I want to see the field conditions. Is there any options is there if you use the satellite imagery? Manual monitoring of large hilly regions may not be practical for effective crop surveillance. This is a problem, practical problem. Solution. UAV unmanned air vehicle technology offers a precise monitoring of a large area with short duration. Options is there. And everybody knows that now the pesticide spraying drone is available. You are already, might be using this pesticide spraying drone. But what are the problems? Uniform spraying. Wastage of pesticides increasing cost. Chances of increasing pesticide residue in tea. If there is not required to pesticide spraying in some locations, why will spray that particular spray in particular location? So our concept is selective spraying. We have to detect the particular location where pest infestation is there, analysis the degree of infestation, level of infestation, and computer software automatically detect this level of infestation, and based on that, we have to plan for pesticide spraying. That is the main objective. Also, the environment impact is there. Residue soil fertility. If we put more fertilizer in the more pesticides in the field, there is a chance of fertility, losing fertility in the soil. Also, pest developing resistance to the chemicals. Unnecessary use of pesticides. There may be a chance that pest developing resistance to the chemicals. So with that background, so we have identified our research problem, narrowed down our research problem. We have to develop some solution. We have to take images using a multispectral and visible camera. We have to analyze those images to find out the hot spot, and we have to take the decision how much pesticides need to be sprayed over there. So we have formulated our objective like this, that I told, to solution in that particular way. And the outcome of this particular project to image database for pest infestation, pest infested and healthy tea leaves captured during RGB and multispectral camera. We look to build a database for future research as well as, because no database is available till now. For research, any research, we need to get the data first. And that was, we found the problem, no data is available on that. So we have to capture the images and build the database at the beginning of the research. An aerial imaging solution for early detection of pest that we are going to develop, and decision support solution. So these are the three outcomes of this project. Now I'm coming to the total architecture of the solution. First, we can divide this total solution in 4 portions. Collecting the image using a drone, model development or training using the data. Third one is the decision support system. And fourth one is the outcome of the decision support system, how it will be benefited for pesticide spraying. There are 2 such options are there. I'll discuss later on. But first, how to take the images. There are 2 things that you know that if you use the drone, the time period of flight is very important. If you increase the load, then flight time will be lesser. So we have to minimize the payload for that. We are using a small camera that is a DJI made. I'll tell you the details, what camera we are using and how we are gathering the images. And manually operating and scan the single plot. After that, all the data are stored in the memory of the drone. And when drone comes back or return to flight to the position, we have to take out the chip and put it to the computer for uploading the data into the computer. Rest of the thing computer does, but during the model development, we have to manually label the location of pest infestation. This is why, because you have to train the computer to understand that this type of, if you find this type of signature in the image, you should tell this is a pest infested area. So this is the first objective, to train the model. Once you train the model, then you can use the model anywhere for testing, any region. Only single term, we have to train the model. For that, we have to need a huge number of data. I'll tell you, initially we tried with 10,000 data, and later on we have collected more than 30,000 data, and we'll combine these 2 data. Labeling and labeling of imaging is a very crucial thing and very time consuming. Once model is developed, we will use the decision support system to analyze each and every image to find out the pest infested location, and it will create a map of pest infestation. Then software algorithm will create, find out the hotspot of that. Means it will be combined of some spot and find out the centroid of that particular spot. We call it as a hotspot. And once we get the information about 2 things, the latitude and longitude of the particular hotspot location, number 1, and second one is the intensity of level of infestation. The computer automatically decide how much pesticide need to be sprayed over there. Now, how to spray it? If you have a manual option, we have also thought of that one. Then we have developed a navigation app. Once this information is put to your mobile device, the mobile app will automatically guide you to reach that particular location and manually spray to that particular location. And we have a second option, that is for future. Drone is coming, pesticide drone is coming. How we can use this pesticide drone for that? We have to put that particular file information with the locational information as well as intensity of pesticide spraying information to the memory of the pesticide spraying drone. And pesticide spraying drone automatically move to that particular location, and pre-programmed way, it will spray the pesticide. then move to the second location, third location, fourth location, and come back. But you know, this pesticides spraying drone is heavy. It's 10 kgs or 10 liters as minimum payload you have to bear. But flight time is very less, only 9 to 10 minutes or maximum 12 minutes. That's why we are splitted this work in two. The scanning will be done, use a particular small drone to scan the whole region, and flight time will be 45 minutes to 50 minutes so that it covered the whole region of scanning. And after that, if required, the pesticide spraying, although this pesticide spraying is not part of this project, but we are thinking about the future, that how it can be utilized for that, and we have developed the solution for that also. Now, the different role we have divided among ourselves. UPASI is basically the responsible for data generation, gathering images, image labeling, validation, site preparation, field trial, and testing of the solution. CDAC Kolkata is working in the field of visual image analysis, software development for identification of pest, then development of decision support solution, and mobile app. Kharagpur IIT is working for the multispectral image analysis. They are trying to correlate the spectral signature with the pest infestation location. Is there any correlation is there? That is the research topic. Also, they are working for a chlorophyll content measurement from the spectral signature, nitrogen content, and water stress measurement. Also, they are helping to develop a decision support system along with us. Now, coming to the little bit technical thing, it's basically for the how the software has been developed. I'll take only 2-3 slides on that. Data collection is the prime requirement. Huge data is required for machine learning. Second one is data annotation. Each and every data manually you have to annotate, making some box. It is now this annotated data along with images need to fit to the computer model. And computer model automatically train and optimize the parameter. And when model is built, we can use that model for testing. That is the inference to unknown data, model testing. And finally, building a decision support solution. Now, during this inception of the project, we found various problems. UPASI is sitting in Coimbatore, this Valparai. CDAC is sitting in Calcutta. Kharagpur IIT is sitting in Kharagpur. So there is a regional difference. Every time moving place to one place to another is not possible. So we have created a cloud service platform. So whenever they are taking the data, they are uploading the data. Kharagpur IIT team and Calcutta is taking the data instantly. So first option to develop this cloud service for data storage for future use. Second one is data collection. For data collection, we are using the DJI Mavic 3M drone equipped with RGB and multispectral camera. We have did our initial trial with in Paddy Agro, and we are kind enough that Paddy Agro has given the full facilities to the experimentation. And 16 region, 16 plot we have been selected. There is some is moderate infestation was there, some is less infestation was there, and some is more infested areas, and some is no infestation, no disease. So these plots, we are flown the drone, took the data, and after data collection, we have set our parameter like this. There are different heights, whether we'll fly the drone at the height of 3 feet, 5 feet, 15 feet, 20 feet. The advantage is if you take more height, then it will cover more area. So less time will take to scan the whole area, right? So, but there is some problem. If you take the image from the large distance, then the infestation, the spot, we call the puncture, it's very small, it's very difficult to identify. And during the time of leveling, we got this difficulty for tagging all those things. So we did some optimization of that. Different terrain types, flat, slightly steeper, uneven condition, we have tried. Different lighting conditions, sunlight, cloudy, misty condition, we have tried to gather the data. Different set trees, less or more set tree, we have collected the data. And after that, doing all those experimentation, and we did a number of times. Experimentation is not for a single time. At least 2-3 times we did the experimentation. And we finalized that 2 to 5 meter is optimum for taking the images. But if you take this 2 meter, you can easily visualize the punctures. But if you take the 5 meter, puncture is visible, but it's very difficult to identify or locate this puncture. That is the problem. So now what happened? We are taking the, because, and again, when you are flying the drone in manual mode, if you tell that drone, fly the drone in the hilly area, maintaining the flight of 2 meter, it's very difficult. So we have to give some range of that one. 2 to 5 meter, we have kept this option for that. Then initial trial with 3 feet height, from plant, top of the plant to 3 feet height, we have taken the images, and 90 square meter takes, means 0.1 hectare area takes 13 meter scanning time of slow speed and reasonable image quality. But if you take the 5 meter height, it will come down. Initial trial, we did that one for getting a very good and high resolution data. So this is the data collection, some images captured from the 2 meter height, and you know this image resolution is 20 megapixel. We keep on zooming, and then we'll find a small spot. I'll show you. And this is the captured image in the 5 meter height. And this is the first step. We did the annotation, and I'm thankful to UPASI team. They are constantly doing this annotation, and 6,000 images they did annotation within 1 month. And it's a huge task. Next, development of deep learning model. We have developed the YOLO V8 deep learning model because it is faster and large image need to be processed. So we have chosen the deep learning YOLO V8 model. And we found that reasonable accuracy data, the accuracy level of detection accuracy is varying 0.67 to 0.92, means 67 to maximum 92% as of now. There is some, these are some parameters. When developing our deep learning model, we have optimized this parameter. We have divided the whole big images into small portion. 64 subdivided location, these 64 images are fed to the deep neural model one by one. And we have found that the TMB signature in unknown images, those images are not tagged or labeled, can be easily identified with a reasonable accuracy, and width has been detected. We have also tagging widths. But this was our initial study within 1 year. Now, after discussion with the UPASI and users, now we are coming to that, the late puncture and early puncture, both we have to identify because the project is on early detection. So we are working on it. Sorry. So the MIL machine learning model, we have used the YOLO V8, and using software, you can see it's not visible, but if you see in the computer monitor, high resolution, the small puncture in every leaf, it can be identified. And we have verified with the UPASI team. And also we found that there is some false detection because some spots are there. We have not tagged it properly, but it is misclassified. But when we are taking more data and other classifications will incorporate, it will not come. And also some misdetection because manually we are identifying the portion of pest infestation, and we found there is some portion is missing in the images. And UPASI team has validated 99 images, and we found that blue color box denoting the software detection, and this red color box is detected by UPASI team that it is not detected. So 99 images we have tested and we got this accuracy level average of 80 to 82%. So this is a development of decision support solution, and total thing is automatic. After getting the data, you have to put the chip in your computer. Okay, chip in the computer, and rest of the thing computer automatically process and generate the files for that. And now coming to the mobile application developed by us, this application helps the pesticide sprayer to reach to the particular locations. This application will mark to the particular direction, and you have to walk in this particular direction like that. And ultimately, when you reach to the particular location, it will come, this mobile app will automatically raise an alarm. You have reached the particular location. Can you play the video, please? This is the video we have taken in the field, how we are doing the analysis, all those things. Please run the video. It's not showing here. It's a screenshot of Pariagrove Helper. And in this particular project, initially we have heard this service provider, Anata Sky, and we are thankful to Anata Sky for providing support. They are helping us to providing the drone capturing the images. Now you can see drone is flying and it is moving in this particular direction, up and down, and scanning the total plot area. It's maintaining the height for 3 feet initially. It is an initial video, 1 year walk. And this is the software screen. You have to first identify the state, then you have to identify the plantations, location, then field ID, plot ID, then you have to put the chip of the this drone, so containing the images, and it will automatically import all the images to the software, and it's starting for analyzing. And after analyzing, it will create a file containing the location information, latitude and longitude, and the degree of infestation or level of infestation. Showing the location. If you keep on zooming at that one, go to this particular deeper. Now you can see the computer has identified this infested location, and hotspot will automatically identify it. Now I want to spray manually, so computer is automatically generating a barcode of that. You have to scan the barcode using your mobile. All the data information of latitude, longitude, and the degree of infestation will automatically come to your mobile. And mobile app take the information from that particular file and guide you to reach the location one after another. So there is no manual intervention. Thank you. So I have 3 more slides, sorry. Can you go back, please? Okay, so now I'm coming to the what Kharagpur IIT has done there. They are taking the images multispectral data, and from the multispectral signature, they are using various algorithms, GDVI, NAV, different algorithms. They are applying to find out the water stress, number 1. Second one, the chlorophyll content, and they are correlating with the nitrogen content. So next slide, please. Next slide. So this is the mobile. Oh, they are also working on the mobile application development. They are also developed a handheld app for pest infestation. so that you have to manually reach there. If you don't know which type, whether it is a pest infestation there, then you have to put your mobile app in front of that with a height of 1.5 feet to 1 feet anywhere, and it will identify the pest infested location. That app they are developing now, it is under validation. It is not developed, fully developed yet. Now next. So mapping for chlorophyll content, they have to take the ground data. They are using the spread odometer for taking the ground to data, and also they are taking the spectral signature and they are doing the analysis of that one. And they are trying to develop the model to correlate. Is there any correlation is there, the spectral signature with the pest infestation? Next. Kharagpur IIT is also working on the water stress monitoring. For that, different indices, they are using the multispectral data, and different indices they are tried, and now they are working on it. Software still not developed yet. Next. Now coming to the challenges. First one is the symptom of the early puncture is very small in size. We have to restrict the drone flying in the certain height only. Second one, manual labeling of TMB infected region is, each image is time consuming. We don't have any other way to do that. We have to go through it, and it takes hours time for labeling the image. It cannot be automated because this particular step is required to take computer to understand what is the infested portion. Third one, flying drone in auto mode at a height of 6 to 15 meters is difficult. We initially thought that it is possible. For that, we talked to numerous drone people. They are telling that because of different set trees and others obstructions, it's very difficult. So poor, again, presently we are using the manual mode. Poor signal strength in GPS in hill, we are facing the problem. Poor signal strength in internet, we have to shift the solution from the cloud service to the desktop applications. We have already developed that one, we are developing rather. Image analysis requires high computation power, that is a catch. In lab, we are using high computational power GPU, but I think in future, all computer will be having the GPU power. Then it will be not problem. And it's time consuming during model development. It's not required for testing. Model development is time consuming. And in conclusion, aerial surveillance provides a fast and efficient method for inspecting large tea plantation, especially in steep terrain. AI-based software for detecting pest infestation through aerial imaging helps field manager make a quick decisions on pest management. A mobile navigation app assists in locating and reaching pest-infested location. The solution could facilitate selective pesticide. And initial experimental results have been encouraging. And we have to go another 2 years for complete development of the solution. With that, thank you for your patience, for listening. Any questions? And I like to acknowledge the contribution. Like to thank Siddharan sir for giving me opportunity to present our work. And I like to thank Cherian sir for giving me opportunity to come here. Professor Damodar, Victor sir, my collaborators, they are constantly helping me to take it forward. And also, thankful to the Murali Balan Pedikari, Vice President, sorry if I pronouncing wrong. So Vice President Pariagro Industries Limited for giving opportunity to do the experimentation there. Until and unless you do the experimentation in the field, a software cannot be foolproof. Messrs. Anata Sky Private Limited for helping for flying the drone, and finally National Tea Research Foundation who funded this project. With that, I'd like to thank you, sir. Sorry if my time is over because this time is required for presenting that one.
Anyway, thank you, Dr. Amitava Akuli, for that excellent presentation. Since we're running out of time, we'll just take one question. Is there anybody? Come. The others can ask Dr. Akuli during the tea break or tea coffee break.
Good morning, sir. This is Dr. Naveen, Assistant Professor from Indian Institute of Plantation Management. So actually, it's a very interesting project, so something a trending kind of thing. So I have one basic question on this. So what is the cost effectiveness of this particular system compared to traditional pest identification and pest spraying system?
Can you just tell me the cost of pest identification and traditional spraying system? Any idea?
No, I don't have much idea on that particular thing, but I just wanted to compare what is the percentage differences.
So actually, it is on initial stage. You know, the cost of multispectral camera is high, very costly. And presently, we are using DJI 3M drone that cost around 10 lakhs. But low-cost drone options are available, Garuda and others. They are only giving the visible signature, visible camera. But if you think of different way, is a service-oriented mechanism that a particular organization will buy that one and they will give the service to the small planters and others. That is a one option. And if there is a big company, they can buy the total system, and at this moment we have not calculated the costing of the system. Let project complete, then costing calculation will be done and we'll come back to you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Can I call on Mr. T. Jairam, our past president, to hand over a memento to Dr. Amitava Akuli, please?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank
So we will break now for a tea and coffee break. Please reassemble at 12 o'clock as we're slightly behind schedule. Thank you.
Every day we move ahead amongst varied terrains in this journey of life. People from all over the world join us and become a part of this legendary family. This successful journey that has spanned over decades now has reached innumerable destinations, with each one being special. Tata Coffee. We keep the world going. The erstwhile Consolidated Coffee Limited is a part of the 150-year-old Tata Group and has grown to be one of the largest integrated coffee plantation companies in the world. Since we cater to people all around the world with various tastes, we ensure that everyone enjoys their cup of coffee. With businesses including plantations in tea and coffee, we entice the taste buds of our cherished patrons all over the world with the highest quality roast and ground, spray, agglomerated, and freeze-dried instant coffees. Our farming operations take place in the serene expanse of South India. Our plantations comprise of 7 tea gardens and 19 coffee estates, spread over 13,000 hectares. Abundantly blessed by Mother Nature, our plantation estates contain rich soils and luxuriant tropical tree cover. Combining these with our drive for quality to produce fine coffees, we contribute towards the blends of the most discerning roasters in specialty markets worldwide and supply the best quality instant coffee. With one of the best estates under us, we have the best people working for us amongst Mother Nature to ensure that we all keep moving day after day. We grow both Arabica and Robusta and process the coffee to produce washed and unwashed coffees. The ripe cherries are identified and hand-picked. It is then fermented, washed and dried for the apt number of hours appropriate to the elevation and humidity of the estate. Our product portfolio includes fine single estate coffees, monsooned coffees, and other premium qualities. Apart from our specialized coffee, Green Bean, our varieties of instant coffee, freeze-dried, spray-dried, and agglomerated are preferred world over by coffee lovers. We also consider the special requirements of individual buyers, apart from providing customized packaging for specific needs. We are thankful to Mother Nature for all that she provides. Unique measures ensure peaceful coexistence with the surrounding wildlife. And here at Tata Coffee, we strive to give back to her, such that our future generations are able to experience well. All our farms have large irrigation tanks filled by rainwater harvesting, which minimizes groundwater usage. Tata Coffee is a carbon-negative organization. Across the world, when people wake up in the morning, they first reach out for a cup of coffee.
We'll be commencing the session. Members are
cater to people all around the world with various tastes. We ensure that everyone enjoys their cup of coffee. With businesses including discerning roasters in specialty markets worldwide and supply the best quality instant coffee. With one of the best estates under us, we have the best people working for us amongst Mother Nature to ensure that we all keep moving day after day. We grow both Arabica and Robusta and process the coffee to produce washed and unwashed coffees. The ripe cherries are identified and hand-picked. It is then fermented, washed and dried for the apt number of hours appropriate to the elevation and humidity of the estate. Our product portfolio includes fine single estate coffees, monsooned coffees, and other premium qualities. Apart from our specialized coffee, Green Bean, our varieties of instant coffee, freeze-dried, spray-dried, and agglomerated are preferred world over by coffee lovers. We also consider the special requirements of individual buyers, apart from providing customized packaging for specific needs. We are thankful to Mother Nature for all that she provides. Unique measures ensure peaceful coexistence with the surrounding wildlife. And here at Tata Coffee, we strive to give back to her, such that our future generations are able to experience her beauty as well. All our farms have large irrigation tanks filled by rainwater harvesting, which minimizes groundwater usage. Tata Coffee is a carbon-negative organization. Across the world, when people wake up in the morning, they first reach out for a cup of coffee. During these modern times, coffee surely means a lot more. Diverse people have diverse tastes. Our multiple offerings speak of the diverse range that we have. Our instant coffee is just the perfect choice for those who don't wish to wait, but want
India's horticultural sector. He founded Sam Agritech Limited in 1986 to meet the growing demand for exotic vegetables. Under his leadership, the company gained global recognition, starting with grape exports in 2001 and later pioneering the exports of fresh-cut pomegranate. Today, Sam Agri operates state-of-the-art facilities in southern and western India, specializing in fresh pomegranate arils, fresh-cut coconut chunks, fresh figs, and dried arils. The company recently established a joint venture with Westphalia Fruit to introduce Hass avocado to India, with plans to over 1,000 hectares of avocado plantations to ensure year-round supply. In recent years, avocados have gained significant global popularity due to their rich nutritional value and diverse culinary uses. As the demand for the superfood rises, many agricultural regions are exploring its cultivation, and southern India is no exception. Known for its diverse climate and thriving plantation industry, South India offers a unique opportunity to integrate avocado cultivation with existing crops like coffee, tea, and spices. potentially enhancing both economic and environmental sustainability. However, while prospects are promising, there are several challenges. We at UPASI also have been focusing on avocado because it's quite ideal for our tea soils. So let me now invite Mr. GVK Naidu to make his presentation on prospects and challenges of avocado planting in southern India.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sridharan sir. On the first outset, I sincerely thank UPASI, Mr. Sridharan and Mr. Matthew for giving me this humble opportunity to be present in front of the eminent stalwarts from the plantation industry of both tea and coffee. Like he already introduced my background, there's nothing much we could add to that other than we started this, the earlier speakers, one was a professor and the next one was a scientist from AI, but I come from a humble background of a growing, and I'm a grower and into agribusiness since last 25 years. Like I told you, we first started pomegranate business, and we have been the pioneers in India. Pomegranate business, and why aerials? When pomegranate fruit is there, why we started aerials? Sam Agri's philosophy, we considered we need to be in a kind of a niche and unique products which others are not there. So that's how we thought, how can I present pomegranate to the international consumers in a different way than a whole fruit. So, and the whole fruit had an issue of was messy, and that's how we made this product. And we were the first people from India to initiate, to learn, produce, and export it to the European markets. When I say European markets, as we started with grapes, we already had a basic knowledge of what European markets require, what are their standards, what are the kind of food safety regulations they look at. And this was a further addition because this is a fresh cut category, and further high care kind of an infrastructure was required, and food safety standards were much more critical in this subject. So that's why we started with this, and this continues to be there. Even now we stand to be market leaders for pomegranate aerials from India, and we stand for about 50%, 55% of Indian exports into the European markets. So while doing this, we were looking for other alternative products, exotic fruit which others are not doing. So we tried to introduce figs apart from this, and we imported this variety from US, and we tried to promote this. Unfortunately, Indian weather conditions were not that favorable, despite of our trials for about 5-6 years, and we could not succeed in this. And then we were looking at for another alternative product, avocado. business in 2000, we were continuously marketing Indian local avocados, but we were not knowing what exactly is it. But with our exposure to the international market, we saw the demand for Haas, and we identified Haas to be promoted in India. And that's going to be, having its growth potential in India. That's how we started that. And before we started this, we first imported the plants. And thanks to Tata Coffee and my mentor, Professor Changappa, who has been mentoring me since for past 25, 30 years. 40 years is my relation. Because of him, we could get into Tata Coffee. And Tata Coffee, we were very much thankful because such a big organization, they could believe our presentation, our vision, and they started first trials at Palibeta. And after we saw the first fruit, and then we ventured into buying, importing fruits, importing planting material. And while we are importing the complete planting material, the cost of planting material, if you import a grafted plant, it is so expensive. Either it has to come by sea, air only. And we need to look at a way how do I reduce the cost of the planting material to promote the growers. So that's how we requested Westphalia and our partners in Israel to set up this nursery in India itself. Although they wanted us to buy plants from them, we said we need to set up this facility in India. And the first project, we set up this facility in Coonoor, Shaniwar Sante at Sakleshpura. And our partners have been helping us in identifying the right root stocks, considering various weather conditions across India. Although our presence today and our trials today is only towards southern India, we have not yet tried north part so far. Considering these locations, our partners have identified the root stocks, and those root stocks have been planted in our model nursery. Mother plants are there, and we have got various varieties of hash and other different kinds of green skin avocados also as a model plot we have established in Coot, which is available for anybody's visit, where you can find a plant, right, the nursery plants, 1-year plantation, 2-year plantation, 3-year plantation, and you also have fruits for visibility and also harvesting. So we roped in Israeli company in 2019, and then 2020 we could get Westphalia on the board, and then we started our commercial marketing. And 2022, after we started the establishment of nursery and planting system, we wanted to create the market first. Before we start producing the fruit in India, we need to have market for what we produce here. So that's how we started seed marketing of the avocados by importing the fruit. Till 2022, India had access only to few countries to be imported into India. It was Chile, Peru, and only New Zealand. All the material, all the fruits had to come by flight, by air flight, and the cost of the fruit used to be more than 1,200, 1,300 per kilo, a retail price. And in 2022 was the first time one African country, Tanzania, got the market access, and then 22, 23 now, we have got few more countries access into the country. South Africa has got, Kenya has got, and Rwanda is on the pipeline, and Brazil also has got the permission. But out of all these things, Kenya, African countries offers to get the fruit at a lower price because we can bring it by sea. And we also did from Australia some sea shipments, but the cost of the product is very much high. But one unfortunate, I would say it's a negative to our growers is Tanzania does not have duty. Rest all other countries we are paying duty, so the cost of the fruit is high. If we consider as a grower today, and if I'm getting a duty-free fruit into the country, so my advantage of growing in India is curtailed to some extent. But definitely as first movers, as whoever start growing in the beginning, they will have the advantage of getting better prices. But end of the day, 5 years, 10 years from now, we all should be prepared, we should be focusing on what is the international market. So today we have the advantages of getting a good price, but going forward it has to be international market prices. So how do we start? The strengths of our Western hour today here is we have got the right partners who are the global market leaders in terms of marketing Westphalia. If I start producing the fruit in the country, in India, and Indian market itself is growing at almost now 100% year on year since last 4 years. Assuming tomorrow we end up growing larger acreages and we are able to convert most of the tea and coffee areas into avocados and our production goes up, we have an access, we have an association with such a big company who are a global marketing leaders and we can export the product out of India too. That is the advantage of associating with Westphalia. And the varieties and the rootstock support is being given by their research and development because they have their own R&Ds and they are doing this job so that we don't have to reinvest on the R&D subject here. So depending on the studies and the survey report details and data what we provide them, so we are choosing the right varieties of rootstocks and the varieties suitable for various locations. And over and above this, when a farmer produces, when a grower produces avocado, the output what we get, you get from A grade, B grade, C grade, D grade. So A grade only can be an export quality fruit and B grade could be a next marketable product. And definitely we have C and D which are useless. So with our expertise of samagri, of creating a value addition for pomegranate, we also think about, we are also in the pipeline to set up a processing and value addition for avocados too going forward once our production comes to the commercial levels. So major challenges, what I see from the plantation areas particularly, it could be tea or it could be coffee. In coffee, we have a problem of removal of tea plants. So this has been a major challenge wherever possible, and KDHP has taken up trials here, and Jairam Haukal has done a fantastic job with trials, and the plants have been doing very good. We were there yesterday to visit the plants, and few more tea plantations who have taken up trials. We are expecting at least our growth, our plan is from now on till 2030, next 5 years, we plan at least about 2,500 to 3,000 acres of avocado growing in India. So accordingly, we are trying to back up with our nursery to produce locally grown nursery plants from India itself. And even here, the first system is we imported the whole grafted plant, and then we started importing the rootstocks and started grafting in India with the local mother blocks. And finally now the next technology has come is the clonal. And even clonal we have started producing in India. So if I have to import a clonal plant today, it will cost me 2,500, 3,000 rupees. But we started producing it in India itself. And next we are also contemplating to do for tissue culture of the rootstocks, the DUSA, whatever it is. So the ultimate goal is to bring down the cost of the planting material and make the farmer appealing to go for this. Water management is one more subject. Actually, in most of these tea and coffee growing areas, water has been scarce because you are not used to irrigating the existing crops, either coffee or tea. So this is something we need to have water management right from the day we plant it. Unless we have that drip installed before you start planting, we will not be successful as per the international standards. So these are the major challenges as of now, and all of us know about it, and we need to find our own solutions for this. If you look at the market condition of avocado today, so Indian imported fruit market now is almost about $2.5 billion. Apples, pears, and apples and pears is the major one. And one interesting point you can look at from this slide is after apples, orange, kiwi fruit and pears. Kiwi is something which not many people know about it, and today its market is 67,000 tons. In 2022, the total import of avocados into India was around 200 tons. And today, in last 3 years' time, this year we will be touching almost about 8,000 tons, if I'm right, and it's been growing at 100% year on year. So even if we touch kiwi volume in next 10 years' time, we need something like about 5 to 7,000 hectares of avocado to be produced in India just to feed Indian market. And over and above that, we have rest of the Asian markets close to us, and Europe is also open for us. This is the volume what has been there. In 2018, it was 200 plus. It grew to 400, 620, 1100, almost 2000, 4000 last year. This year it will be anywhere between 9 and 10. By 2020, we are expecting it to be 15. There's a lot of effort being put in by Westphalia here, and luckily, our partner, Westphalia Manor, one of our directors from Westphalia, he happens to be the chairman of World Avocado Association, which is responsible for promoting avocado consumption and creating awareness to the consumers across the globe. So they have been conducting campaigns since last 2 years in India, spending almost about 2-3 crores every year in India just for promotion. It is not coming from Westphalia, it is coming from World Avocado Organization. And of course, Westphalia also has its own marketing plans, and there has been a lot of promotion happening in each and every sector. The advantage of India here, you can see the green lines. Green lines are the months which we expect India to produce, our harvest should take place. Rest of the period, all the blue lines, the fruit is available from most of the countries, particularly from Africa. If you look at March, Africa starts right from March, and it can continue up to September, October, and sometimes late season fruit can also spill over December. But our harvest and our experience for the past few years, what we have been getting harvesting from Tata Coffee and other growers, we start getting in October. We had a small crop sometime in July, August, but the major harvest is happening between October, November onwards, and it is expected to continue till February. And February, March, April are the three major gaps where we are depending today on Australian market to import. So we are trying to create awareness in the market and placing the product in the market all 12 months so that people will not forget, and awareness is created much better. So during this off-season, definitely India will definitely have its price advantage over other African countries. And even if we have excess material, we have scope to export it to the international markets. So the ideal growing regions, after we have gone through all these southern parts of India, particularly the plantation areas, Chikmagalur, Sakleshpur, Coorg, Wayanad, VR Hills, Nilgiris, Valparai, where all our eminent friends who are sitting here represent all these areas. So they look to be the right places. We have taken up trials in most of these places except few in this. Everywhere the products have been doing good. All the varieties are doing good. So as a grower, as a planter now, if somebody wants to enter new, where do we start? Whom are you working with is your first question, to give you a credibility and confidence that am I with the right partners who can support me with the right planting material, who can support me with the growing techniques, who can support me with the marketing, and who can support me with taking even the last grade material for a value addition. That's where we come from. So we are, we are trying to create a kind of infrastructure or a network or give confidence to the growers that we will take care of all your requirements and we will be part of your business. So we will be responsible in identifying the areas, and we will be providing the good planting material, selection of rootstocks, and then growing know-how will come from us. Couple of questions may come from us, like, can I go for an intercrop? Of course, we have tried some intercrop plantation. This picture is from KDHP in Munnar, where we have planted with coffee. It's under trials now. We need to see the commercial feasibility of this. And we are confident once the plant grows, probably we can take out the rest of the tea also, if the government permits. Thank you. Technical questions.
So any questions for Mr. Naidu? Yeah.
Good morning. So this is Dr. Dinesh, I'm from Indian Institute of Plantation Management. So I have one or two, quite basic questions. The first thing is you have mentioned about water management as one very big problem for avocado, production. So in what sense, can't we look at the micro irrigation, etc.? So is, water quality a issue, or water quantity a issue, or management a issue?
One is the water quantity, I would say, because avocado is such a plant where months for fruit set to harvest of climate and the locations where we grow. If it is in a cooler place of zero, if it is touching 0 degrees or 2 degrees kind of a scenario, it will take almost 10 months time for the fruit to mature. In little warmer areas, it can be harvested in 8 months. But you need to have the fruit watering on a regular basis because fruit is there always on the plant.
Okay. So second question is, can we look at contract farming model or similar models as we have in tea?
By and large, what we are working with our friends now with Tata Coffee, whoever it is, it's a kind of a contract farming. I wouldn't say it is with a written contract, where we work with you people, we support you, we supply you planting material at most reasonable prices, we help you in growing, and we are also buying back the material. We are coming with option of first give it to me. If I don't take, you are open to sell outside.
Okay, the last question. It's the third one in a sense. So can we look at processing not just avocado as a fruit, but as other products, processed products, etc. Can we look at that? Because US, etc. It's prospering like anything.
I mean, that is the reason. I mean, that's what I explained to you. We definitely come out with an end-to-end solution. It's not just we just want to sell the plants and get away from the field. We want to be with you people. We want to be there with you growing, grow the plant, buy the fruit, and create a value for whatever the grade you guys produce tomorrow.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Naidu? Okay. I'd like to thank Mr. Naidu for that excellent presentation on avocados. And I'd like to invite our past president, Mr. Prashant Bansali, to hand over memento to Mr. Naidu, please.
Thank you, Sridhan and Mr. Sir, for this great opportunity. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Our next presentation will be Mr. Alan Lai. Mr. Alan is the founder and CEO of Profile Print and the inventor of its patented AI food fingerprint technology. Before starting Profile Print, he was the assistant CEO of an investment group focusing on fintech and digital KYC companies. Experiences including heading M&A and investment in the United Kingdom, General Manager South China, and assistant to Group CEO President at a Temasek-owned MNC. He served 8 years as a military officer and is currently Reserve Squadron Commander with the Singapore Air Force. He was a PhD candidate in operational research at INSEAD, completed the postgraduate management program at Tsinghua University, and graduated with French, Singapore double engineering degrees, first class honors from the École Centrale Paris and National University of Singapore under a government scholarship. The Vice President Sanjit and myself saw Mr. Allen make a presentation at the Sri Lankan Tea Convention a couple of months back. We thought it was very useful, and therefore we invited him here. So let me now welcome Mr. Allen to present his paper on quality profiling using artificial intelligence.
Thank you so much. A very good morning. My name is Alan. First of all, very thank you to UPASI President for inviting me to be here today. I arrived this morning at about 2 a.m. in the morning, and I was stopped by the custom officer. She asked me, "Why are you here today?" I'm no expert of tea. I know nothing about agriculture, especially from my tiny country they come from. We don't even consume much, let alone produce anything. And then she said, "Sir, you're not allowed to come in." I'm like, "Wait, I have prepared a presentation." So she said, "As long as you can convince me with a presentation that you are here to share something meaningful," and I think she winked at me, she allowed me to pass. I spent 20 minutes doing my first rehearsal this morning at the custom officer. And I'm here today. I'm so happy because India is a country that I've always wanted to come back. I first came to India about 15 years ago, and that was in Kerala area. And this is only my second time, and I'm really excited. I want everyone to take a moment to think back about 25, 30 years ago, where we were, or our parents were, still using typewriters. And I guess we all remember those days where we had to physically pass the documents to our bosses or our clients to make assessment, and very often it gets edited, comes back to us, and we have to retype again. 25 years ago, a tiny startup back then called Microsoft digitalized documents. And today we know how digitalizing a document is able to save us so much effort and become so much more efficient. In the same way, what we do in profile print is to digitalize ingredient, whether it's tea, whether it's coffee, so that at any point where you acquire the fingerprint, you're now able to make decisions anywhere across the supply chain, from your export to even your client's location, without the physical ingredient. But before I do all that, I think it is useful in the next 20 to 25 minutes to share a bit about AI. And I think just now, Mr. Akuli, earlier this morning, has shared a very interesting aspect of aerial image recognition and how we can control pests. I'm going to zoom in on the other aspects of it, and also to give everyone a landscape scanning on how AI has already penetrated into our daily lives without us realizing it. And of course, I'll then be sharing 2 case studies, one of course on tea and the other one on coffee. And last but not least, I'm going to share with you some of the reality of challenges and how some of my clients and also the users are overcoming that. This is not new to anyone anymore. ChatGPT, we all know how it works. Ask a question, it knows more than your teacher. But of course, beyond words, we have started seeing image recognition tools that now can also image generate. By keying a little statement here, we can generate something that doesn't exist. So I have a real case study because I have a very young daughter. She's only 6 years old. And she came to me one day getting a bit upset and said, Daddy, you know, I need to design my birthday card to invite my friends. I'm no artist, I can't draw very well. And she said, I need 3 of my favorite things in a birthday card. I need a penguin, I need strawberry ice cream, and I need sunny Singapore. You put these 3 things together, I can never get a photo of that. So the only way is to try to draw, and I can't do it. So I came to this Gemini, and I key in these 3 things in a statement, and within seconds, a few hundred of these images appeared, and my daughter was just choosing which one to use, and she chose this one. She thinks she likes it. But AI has gone beyond just words and image. It's gone into video. Let's take a look at this Wall Street Journal advertising that covered somebody who has never been to China before and using words and try to recreate what it looks like during Chinese New Year in China. I hope the sound is on. Let me just try to play this video. Excuse me, I think you may need to help me click the video. It's a short 10 seconds video. Are you using my PowerPoint slide or are you using the PDF version? You should be able to click directly onto the video, and that is actually inside the PowerPoint. Oh, but it's all inside. It's all inside. I think you're using the wrong file. If you just use the PowerPoint version, it should work. There's no video? You can play it, just click on it. Yeah, I think it's loading now. No, it's copied together. And yep. Yes, this is the one. Yes, there's a video inside. Yes, there's video inside. Just click on it. There's a video inside. You want to connect over here instead? Maybe HDMI over here. Apologies, it works on one computer, it doesn't work on the other computer. But let me just move on so that I don't keep everyone waiting. Essentially, what you're supposed to see is an entire image of a dragon in China moving, and it's all artificially created. But AI is not just about ChatGPT, LLMs, and video generation. It has already gone very deep into every part of our life. It is more focused on the B2B industry, significantly more so because we consumers don't really see it. Anything from legal to finance has already been using data mining prediction engines for the last 10 years. My wife is a lawyer. She already has been reducing her work by running AI models to check her documents without even needing her to go through line by line, more than 5 years ago. In the healthcare industry, doctors are already using diagnostics tools to tell where the tumors are located without even spending so much human efforts to detect eye by eye. And moving to manufacturing, cybersecurity, language translation, arts and culture, I was just talking to my friend who told me that they totally have created music out from nothing. And the reality is that this has served very well in high-end industry because people are adopting AI technologies more readily. But what about industry that's more traditional? UPASI this year is 131 years old. It is impressive seeing the list of the chairmen and president in this hall, understanding the depth of the knowledge and the tradition that we have. Trying to change industry is not the way to go. Trying to infuse technology such that the same industry flourish, that is a better way to go. It takes time, it takes understanding, and I think in the next slide, I'm going to explain to you how in the agri-food industry that we've seen in other parts of the world, how it has managed to tap on such technology. And mainly, our clients has been located in America, in Sao Paulo, in Brazil, as well as in Africa. And I think maybe to give you a sense of the spectrum of where AI has worked quite a bit, I think Dr. Akuli has mentioned a lot on precision agronomy, a lot of how you can recognize pests, recognize diseases even before humans can detect. Of course, there's also a lot of direction going to bespoke retail, into the better experiences of the food that people consume. I'm not going to talk about that today. I'm going to focus a bit into where we are all here today, where you grow, you ship, and you manufacture. Because this is where the bulk of the agriculture funnel really holds on very tightly to. And there is a lot of opportunity for efficiencies improvements. But before I do that, let's go back to fundamentals. What is the core problem in this part of the supply chain? That we found out from talking to people, from our clients, that when we talk about ingredient, especially natural ingredient. The grading processes is extremely important because you want to buy correctly, you want to make sure that you buy for your clients correctly, you don't want a rejection, and you want to make sure you buy at the right price, not overpaying for it. So people invest in grading, years and years of tasting, but it's extremely onerous, and it can also be subjective because we are affected by emotions. Sometimes we eat something differently and it affects the way we taste certain things. There's also a limit to how much you can taste in a single day. Every buyer and seller uses 5 and your 5 may not mean the same thing. My sweetness is not the same sweetness. I might be talking about pineapple sweetness, you may be talking about papaya sweetness, and this is also where human calibration spend a lot of time on. Let me show you a live experiment 4 years ago when one of the biggest companies in the world, one of the ABCDs, came to us and they said, look, we're excited about technology. We want to know how it works. So they said, before we do anything, let's do a simple pilot. They roasted coffee bean in US and they shipped these same beans to 45 of their Q graders, which are the expert graders around the world. The results came out. We were very surprised, but I think our client was even more surprised because humans have a 30% deviation, meaning a score of 0 to 10. Someone can score as low as 6, and another person tasting the same thing can score as high as 9. And for the huge difference to the price. But what was even more shocking is that we slotted in replicates of the same inside the 18 beans. That means the same taster, tasting the same bean, using the same water at the same time, can have up to 20% deviation. Our client was very worried. You mean that's how the guys are doing business? But fortunately, when we dug the data deeper, we saw very positive signs. Out of these 45 people, there were about 20 people that have deviation of less than 10%. There are super tasters. They exist in this world. How do we then leverage on the skill sets, populate that for your company so that every one of your intern operator or someone like me who can't taste coffee and tea can now be a super taster as well? That's what we did with this client, and we learned from the expert, we train it, and we're now able to predict the beans as if they were tasted by the experts. Today, they become one of our largest clients with 13 deployments across the world, and they also became one of our shareholders. A short video clip to show where we are. I hope this time the video works. Let's try. No. Still cannot. Can we plug the HDMI over to this laptop to play the video? Sure. My demo will also be in the video form, so if you can't play video, we may need to change to the HDMI. Why don't you just change HDMI over to your laptop and play it directly? I think it'll be faster. I think the HDMI, if you just transfer over, you can already play straight away. Just give me another 20 more seconds. I think they should be able to resolve this well. In the meantime, do take a little break, and because it's been a very busy morning, very tiring for you guys, think through about how technology and what about avocados, that really we are seeing a lot more avocados in the market today. Okay, can we just directly prompt me? Because it plays here, right? So you just transfer the HDMI. Yeah. Then I need your clicker to be transferred also. Yep, the clicker to transfer to the laptop. And then the HDMI transfer over there. I think it should work. You want to go to the video page first? Yeah, no, it's not the same page. Yeah. Thank you so much. Next one. Yes, this one. There's no sound. Sound, please. It works just trying to resolve the sound, so it's almost there. The HDMI should have direct link to the sound. Why don't you move to the start? Let me voice over myself. Wow, there's subtitles anyway, so if you just play, I'm just going to voice over as if I'm the MC who, yeah. So using artificial intelligence, our portable analyzer scans food ingredients, predicting its identity and quality within seconds. The analyzer captures spectroscopy signatures across a broad spectrum that's directly related to molecular structure that then predicts. That's where artificial intelligence algorithm comes in, to predict patterns relating to food quality. The problem really that we're solving is that food ingredient grading is extremely subjective, and we want to be able to help agribusinesses around the world to be able to assess quality rapidly so that they can buy and sell better. All right. Sorry, next slide, please. Lovely. The moment you can digitalize ingredient, like how you digitalize Word document in Microsoft, you can imagine now this digital fingerprint allows you to address traditional needs. Next, please. Such as sourcing, sample approval, product development, and QA. Next, please. With AI solutions such as match, verify, blend, monitor, all on the platform directly. This is where we are today, simply because digitally you're now able to solve the solution. Within a short period of time, we have deployed our solution to over 60 locations across the 6 continents of the world. I'm going to run through 2 case studies. The first one is a case where we deployed our solution in Tanzania, East Africa, on coffee beans. Before implementing the challenge that they have, because they have a coffee auction board, and every week they have to assess 400 beans. And when I ask the client why do they need to assess 400, it's because they say there are easily a few thousand beans to assess, but they don't have enough manpower to assess all the beans. And hence, as a result, they can only do 400 because they need to roast it, they need to powderize it, and then taste it with 5 cups each. And this whole process takes as long as 3 full days with a team of 5 to make a decision of whether to buy and to buy at what price. And finally, they spend the 4th day and 5th day doing logistics as well as doing sales, which they really should be spending time on. When Profile Print came to the picture, we saw that we could build models of how they do classification. Within short period of time, about 2 minutes, we can able to scan the green bean sample and give them the results without going through the whole onerous process. And as a result, capacity increased from 50 samples a day to over 300 samples a day. I think more importantly is that the untrained user is now able to use the same model train to do the prediction. So this company now reduced the staff to do tasting, but transfer the tasting staff to do higher value job such as selling and marketing. And the same person now gets a higher salary as a result of the ability to be more productive. But equally important, it's not just about sensory. An analyzer is now able to give you chemical parameters such as moisture, such as water activity, so that you can then be able to predict things that human cannot predict without instrumentation. And third, when we saw that digitalization happen, you actually reduce significant amount of errors. Now next, I'm going to go into tea, and this is something I presented in Colombo just a month ago. And this is because over in Colombo, we started off with the Ceylon black tea. And one of the major challenges that they face, right, is that they've created standards for their clients, but this standard needs to be memorized in the cupper's mind. And once they have the standard, they need to constantly taste the incoming raw ingredient to try to remember, is this for Unilever, is this for Lipton, is this for Mastercard? And this process becomes actually extremely tough for them to be more productive. Let's see how we manage to solve this problem. 2 of the highest moving products. One is standard 3, standard 6. I'm not going to review what these clients are for, but just name it as 3 and 6 first. And one of them, of course, is more a Tadas. The other one's more, I think it's a orange pickle, probably OP1. And what happened is that they first came to us with their human sensory of about 50 samples each. So that means 50 samples they tasted, they have their recorded scores of whether it's on standard or off standard. Now with this data, we first checked the humans. We realized that for this model 3, the humans are extremely accurate. We saw that they had 100% accuracy even among the humans when they do duplicate. For the other model, it's also not too bad, it's 87. That means humans do make some mistake, but at this 87 is still extremely accurate. Now with this data, what happens is then we build a model and then we now use profile print to do a blind prediction based on the model learned from the expert. What you see now here is that we are able to put in blind samples and they tell straight away cannot use or can use. Similarly for standard 6, cannot use or can use. Now if you look at the data as a conclusion, this model shows that when the human accuracy is good, the model can learn from a human such that you're having 100% accuracy of predicting what the human thing is can use or cannot use. The other model, standard 6, where the human accuracy is not so high, the model did not outperform the human, but even at 86, it's still already way more efficient than spending time on this. So you can see that in the cases of expert tasting can use, we predicted equally correct. What humans say cannot use, we didn't predict any at all. And what over here that we also cannot use is accurate, except that we actually predicted a few more cannot use where the humans say actually you can use them. That also goes to show that even among humans, there's some levels of deviation. In this case, it was straightforward because the same standard now no longer need the humans to be able to memorize this. They're now able to quickly scan before going for the auction and knowing exactly the quality that fulfills their client standard right away when they get the samples. We don't just do coffee and tea, of course. And I think today we are in a part of the world where we have a lot of spices, we have a lot of other agri-food commodities, and we go anything from coffee, tea, herbs, fats, oilseeds, grains, cocoa, spices, all with existing paying clients that we have today. This is a quick snapshot of some of the clients that we have. I just want to point attention to how we started off really with the big traders, simply because they have volume. But as we work with them, they start to tell us that their clients need it more, as well as their producer. So we've moved downstream and upstream to the manufacturing companies, as well as the producing cooperatives, as well as some of the state-owned farms over here. Now, this is where we'll go to the demo walkthrough where my heart is beating a bit because I'm not sure whether the video is going to work again, so I'm going to try one more time. This is our website, and if you click play, it should move. I mean, you have to click on the arrow play. Next page. Click on the video itself. Over here, there's an arrow here. You can see an arrow on the bottom left-hand corner. Yes. Yes, it's moving. Lovely. So this is our website is. Anybody can go into profileprint.ai. This just give a general introduction. Top right-hand corner is where the clients can click on. Now, when you go to the dashboard, you start to see, of course, the company's info, the lots that you scan, and the AI models that you have built. Now, let's go to this thing called plug and play, where we have built different models to predict different things. I choose beans first, and over here we have scanned some beans, and I'm just going to randomly choose a few beans like Kenya, Brazil beans, and let's see how the AI is able to predict this fingerprint on the spot within a few seconds. And over here, what's happening is that the model is looking at the fingerprint and generating the report as if a human has roasted, ground, and tasted the coffee with not just the score, processing method, moisture, as well as the flavor profile. Oh, this is a very good bean. It's an 87. For people who are familiar with SCA score, SCA 87 is highly priced. And of course, if you go to a 77, this is a commercial bean, the price will be significantly lower. So this is how we can solve for coffee. Now let's go into tea. Over here, I've got a tea model as well, a client in China that uses it for oolong tea. I'm just going to give you an example of how when you run the fingerprint of the teas, And within seconds, you can now predict how it would taste as if a human have actually tasted it. Over here, you can see the stronger body, less acidic. And the third tea is interestingly a roasted one. The roastedness level is very high and very low acidity. And this is all done without any human cupping. Let's go on to another tool that may be interesting, and we call that the blend recommendation. We all understand how blend is done in the commercial entity. Let's just say we use coffee as an example, and we have this target bean that we have been selling a client. Unfortunately, this target bean price has gone up. But you need to continue fulfilling this quality. What do? You blend. Now, let's take a look at a partner that has the fingerprint, but I don't have the stocks. I can choose their beans as my potential beans to be mixed. And I can even choose and say, minimally, I want to use 15% of this because I have stocks with me now. And the prices are also allocated. Now, what's happening now, I'm asking the AI on the platform to predict what's the best blend for me to mix to achieve the similar taste profile. So over here, the AI is going through the report generation. You can see within seconds it's out. And you can see the first recommended blend is as high as 91% accuracy. If you do blend 75% of Colombia, 15% of Brazil, and 10% of Indonesia at this price, $5.93. But if your clients are less sensitive to the accuracy of match, you can potentially choose blends that are cheaper but lower percentage match. For example, 533 at 77%. This is a recommendation for your expert to start to physically blend, confirm, and make your final adjustment before they ship to the client. Don't forget, this is done even before you receive the beans from your supplier. If at the farm, they can already scan this, you can already make this decision as a trading entity or as an end consumer manufacturer. Last, I want to go through with you this tool that looks into batches of tea that comes through a client, and we can show you that without even a model. So just now, Dr. Akuli talks about 10,000 images to build a model. Over our last 7 years of our journey, one of the most challenging part about AI is model building. Collect data, train data, run a model, not accurate enough, collect one more time. If you go through 10 times, you'll lose half of the clients. And this is a challenge that we face. But we start to learn something very fast, is that whatever that we've learned can already be used instantly. So in this case, where we actually use model built-in without our clients needed to build, we just have to scan the samples of the different batches of tea, and we can see straight away that's one that's rejected. We don't know why it's rejected, but it looks totally different from what is accepted. Humans then now pick up the samples and taste it to make the final confirmation whether is it really accepted or rejected. No need for any sample training. This is scanned on the spot and decision within about a minute. Lovely. So just a snapshot on some of the recent awards that we won. I think a lot of the focus for us has been on sustainability. And I think we believe that in a huge country with a big agriculture market like India, one of the biggest challenges is sustainability of your farmers, but also the sustainability of the farmers and the corporations that's running them. Because if only farmers survive and businesses don't survive, it's not going to be meaningful. So we believe very strongly for an entire industry to do well, we must lift all boats. That means businesses must do well. You don't just pay farmers better simply just to give them a better livelihood. The traders, the manufacturers, the exporters must all do well. And the only way to do this is to find a way to be more efficient in our current supply chain. And I think that's what we strongly believe in, digitalizing the ingredient, so that once it's being scanned, everybody now can benefit from the digital ingredient. I want to go back to this last slide, because remember I talked about my daughter at the start of this presentation, that she was complaining to me about her birthday card. And one of the biggest challenge, of course, I was worried is, I mean, for you guys who have young kids, do you show your photo screen time with your kid, showing them your iPhone? I try to avoid, right? But when I generate AI images, I naturally have to show them screen for a long, long time. So I was saying, look, will I deter her from her creativity because AI do all the work and creates a situation where we, mankind, becomes less capable and less creative? Interestingly, months later, she came out with this painting all by herself. I said, do you copy this from ChatGPT or somewhere else? He said, no, Daddy, I painted this myself. Because you showed me many images, I digested with my own human capability and I painted this myself. I think AI can't take over humans. AI can make human more creative in a more productive way. With that, I end my presentation. I'm happy to answer any question. Thank you so much. Sorry for the technical challenges.
Thank you for that excellent presentation, Mr. Alan Lai. Are there any questions for him? Yeah.
Hello. It's a nice presentation, and I know that how, in 7 years, your journey, how it was difficult, because I am working the same line. Sir, I have two questions.
Sure.
Number one is that you have shown some data, aroma index 1.63.45. So what is the range of that one in the profile?
Yep.
That is a, yeah.
Let me answer the first question. So in the best use cases, we realized that building customized models that we build are actually replicating what our clients are already doing. So in the case of the profile of tea, for example, the client actually have a score of 0 to 10. So when they gave us the tea samples as well as the corresponding scores, they were already ranked by 0 to 10 for each parameter. So we are building and replicating the just sensory scores from 0 to 10.
So have you ever received this best tea 10 out of 10 anywhere?
Definitely. So I give you an example of what we call about data versus quantity data versus quality data. So imagine if I have 1 million tea samples and all their scores are between 7 to 8. Very likely, when I predict the next tea, the range will be 7 to 8 because that's what you've seen before. It's just like a little baby who has seen 7 to 8, right? But quality data means that only with 100 data points, if I have a good spectrum of 0 to 10, then you won't go into this situation where you have a negative score. Because if you only train from 7 to 8, very likely if you see something that is a 5 score, it will produce a negative score.
Okay. And second question is that the model is very good and you have developed. How you validated these results? Whether you have validated these manual results or any instrumental like HPLC, GC kind of thing you have used?
I like this question a lot because this is also what most of clients come to us and ask us, how do you validate this? We have white papers, we have published our papers on research, we also have patents, but I tell my clients all these are useless. Not that they're useless from an academic perspective, but useless for the client. Because what do the client cares about? Ultimately, client cares about whether it fulfills their current criteria of solving the problem. So the best validation is to validate with your client. So I just give you a recent validation that I just have last month in Amsterdam. The client took on the blend tool, and normally we spend a good 30 days to train them to use it. Before then, they validate with blind samples to say it matches the score, and there it goes. But what we did was that we chose those tools that did not require model building. We chose blend, and we chose the case of monitor. So we sat down there with the samples live. They predicted the blend. They physically blended it in front of us. They did 3 blends. They say, my humans can't do that in such a short time. So within 1 day, we saw our machines now inside the factory. So to me, the best validation is the client seeing the value that can help them improve and lesser of using instrumentation to match. Because even instrumentations, to be honest, they are also proxy indicators to decide whether the clients really care about it or not.
So we will, because we're short of time, so Mr. Alan Lai has brought one of his machines and it's set up right outside our hall here. I think he will be available there for some time later today. So if any of you want to see it working and have any further questions, I would suggest you go and engage with him. Yeah?
Our booth is just beside the UPASI booth and beside the toilet. So if you guys walk past the washroom, happy to do a quick demo within 1 minute.
Okay. So please have a look at that. Now, can I call on our past president, Mr. Jeffrey Rebello, to hand over a memento to Mr. Alan Lai, please.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. The final presentation of this technical session is by Dr. Gurmeet Singh. Dr. Gurmeet Singh is a professor and a head of the Center for Ayurveda, Biology and Holistic Nutrition at the Transdisciplinary University, Bangalore. He is a scientist, inventor, and innovator with 25 years of experience in academia and a strong interest in developing sustainable food-first solutions for health and wellness issues. He has a B.Tech in chemical engineering from IIT Delhi and a PhD from Pennsylvania State University, USA, and has 25 patents filed and 20 published publications. Let me welcome Dr. Gurmeet Singh to present his paper on blending of botanicals, opportunities for the tea sector.
Hi. So thanks for the opportunity to talk here. Yeah. Maybe I can hold a hand mic. Maybe that's easier. It may keep slipping. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Everybody can hear me. That's fine. Yeah. So thanks for inviting me here, and thanks Sridhar, thanks Sanjay ji, thanks Jeffrey, thanks Victor for the initiating the project. I came here about 2 years ago where I talk about processing and innovation around processing. But our university, where I come from, Transdisciplinary University, they have an expertise. 30 years they've been researching medicinal plants of India, right? And so this idea came together that let's look at how medicinal plants and tea can go together, right? And therefore, intercropping botanicals in plantations to create infusions of goodness, right? So yeah, I begin here. This is just an acknowledgement of all the people who've contributed to this knowledge, right? This is a slide from 1966, right? A book, a conference which happened in 1966 and a very famous quote. Today, since then, 60 years have passed, and so there are about 91 billion people. So the number is not 90% anymore, it's about 85%. But 85% of all humans born ever were hunter-gatherers. And they have been accumulated a lot of knowledge from that hunting and gathering. And that knowledge is what we are trying to understand. No scientific, no AI, no science endeavor can look at this millions of years of history and come to the kind of knowledge that has been learned from experience by the 85% of all humans born ever since Homo sapiens came to the world, right? Maybe one day, but not in the near future. So in India, these local communities, right, how many medicinal plants is a question that comes up. And so far, we've documented through research about 6,500 different species of plants which have been used in medicine, right, all across India. So which systems have been used for? This is a chart which shows that about out of the 6,500, okay, I guess the marker is not working. Yeah? But anyway, about 1,500 or so from Ayurveda, then in folk knowledge. So the maximum number is still right in folk knowledge, about homeopathy, some Siddha about 1,000 or so, Swarikpa, which is the Tibetan system, about 250 or so, Unani about 500 or so. So a lot of them codified, Ayurveda, homeopathy, Siddha, Tibetan, they're all codified systems. But folk is something which is still to be codified, right? While they're in practice, but they've not still reached a codified system as of today. So there's a lot of botanical wealth and their uses which are known to us, right? May not necessarily, a lot of it is practice-based evidence, right, which exists. Plants, where do these medicinal, divide India into these biogeographic zones, 10 biogeographic zones, the colored, and then they are subdivided into forest types and biotic provinces, etc. And we can see that they are kind of spread around. And from where we are in UPASI, in the Nilgiris and other ranges, so about 2,000 or so species here. So quite a dense, right, population of plants, yeah, in this region. Of the 6,500, not all are traded, yeah, in today's world. So how many are traded is a big question, and that itself required a lot of research to happen. right? Almost a decade-long research to figure out how many are being traded today. 30 years of research to get to know how many are in use, and another 10 years to figure out how many of them are traded today, right? And so about 1,000 or so are traded, 1,178 have been traded, and this is work that we've done along with the National Medicinal Plant Board and published a book, right? That book itself is now 7, 8 years old, so it's the next version that we need to now work on and update that, right? And so how do we use these, how do we get hold of these 1,000 or so plant species, right? And what this just tells us is just a glimpse of that a lot of these species, 72%, 80% nearly of these are actually gathered, right? Hardly about 200 species out of 1,000 rest are still gathered. And where are they gathered from? Gathered from tropical forests, right? Gathered from roadsides and wastelands, right? And of course, some of those species are cultivated. So what I have here is the highly, right, traded species, right, which are about 200 or so out of the 1,000 that are traded. So 11 of those species, which are really high volume, which are, and kind of some numbers, just to give you a context of the kind of plantation sizes, etc., wherever we have, and you may recognize like aloe and pipali and ashwagandha, and tulsi and artemisia and vetiver in there. But cultivated area, 180,000 hectares, which is kind of minuscule compared to what tea plantations total, right? And so how do these get to us? So of course, a lot of these are, there are millions of gatherers, as we said, and growers. And through wild collection and cultivation, they come to, those are the primary collectors, right? Then they get to mandis, eventually through thousands of traders, in there. And then get to jadi booty mandis, specialized herbal mandis, cooperative federations, etc. And finally reach through traders to more than 1 million folk healers, right? Dispensing their own self-prepared medicines. These are the paramparik vaidyas, as are called, and there are about 1 million. So there are about 600,000 villages in India. So you could say about 3 vaidyas, paramparik vaidyas, not Ayurveda vaidyas. They are codified, right? So these are healers, folk healers, for every 2 villages. So 1.5 healer about 2 villages. They still exist, right? And about 40 million rural households. That's nearly half of India's population. If you look at 5 persons per household, right? Using herbs for healthcare, right? I know many of us also have been using that, especially after COVID-19. The sales of ashwagandha and other such botanicals really increased dramatically, right? And there's a good healthy industry as well, manufacturing units, about 10,000 or so now, licensed to prepare herbal formulations for different streams, right? Actually, if you look at all the documentation, and we've been working on that documentation, and now that's been taken over by the TKDL, right? This is the Traditional Knowledge Digital Library by the CSIR Lab of India. And they have documented now more than 3 lakh herbal formulations, right? Which have been listed in the various books, the Siddha, Unani, Swarikpa, Ayurveda, etc., over 3,000 years. So there is a lot of knowledge getting into formulation science now, right? How do you pair these things together? What conditions to use? Which season to use, right? What personalization of medicine. So there's a lot of knowledge around that as well, right? Total trade of about 5 lakh metric tons, split between domestic herbal usage, right? Raw drugs, and then some wastage as well. Exports have more than doubled over the last decade or so. So there's a growing demand outside around botanicals, herbal medicines, and a few tea companies as well. Pakka Teas and others are blending many of these botanicals and buying these botanicals and blending them with tea and creating tea and botanical blends, right? Of course, the big ones in India are the aloe, the amla or amblika, the plantago, the chebula, right? The main buyers being, of course, Ayurveda industry, right? Going into various formulations. The herbal extracts industry. Herbal extracts are easier to export. There are no issues of microbial load, etc. You have better specification, better authentication. And then, of course, I mentioned the herbal infusion industry. India, this is small, but has potential and may interest people in this room as well. So what are the challenges, right, that this botanicals industry faces, right? And are those some challenges that tea industry may have expertise to tackle, right, is a question that we started off when we looked at this research. So this was kind of the background as to what is available there. And so, of course, the challenges are in terms of authenticity, purity, right? We mentioned a lot of these are gathered. When you're gathering from roadside and bringing them to mandis, right? From wastelands and bringing them to mandis, from forests when they are bringing to mandis. Then, of course, you're not really plucking one thing. Along with what you want, there are so there are challenges of purity and authenticity, which are limiting the industry, which are hampering the industry. There are challenges of quality and cleanliness. And quality, we spoke about the whole AI presentation, is something that could really help in looking at the quality of these ingredients. But quality also includes things like microbial load. One reason why many of the consignments of botanicals get rejected when they're exported is because of the microbial load they carry, because of the way that they are harvested, etc. Are grown, right? Many of them are very small plants growing very near to the earth. And so the whole plucking practices, harvest practices, growing practices need to be looked at, right? The post-harvest processing of these, drying of these into is another challenge. And of course, there are marker compounds which are not available for most of these plants. The availability is another issue because many of these plants, 1,000 plants which are traded, are now endangered, right, because of overgathering, right? And so that's an issue that there are restrictions, right, they've been endangered, they are threatened, right? The grading and post-harvest operations are not great, right? Something that tea industry is actually very familiar with, but doesn't exist to that level, to that quality in industries outside of tea, right? The transparency of source is not there. Where is it exactly coming from? And scale, right? If you're looking at relying on gatherers bringing 10 kgs of a basket, right? Many of these things do not result of that. Yeah. So plantation industry has many strengths. If you look at the challenges, so plantation industries have many strengths around these things, right? They are experts at agronomy at scale, right? Nurseries, planting materials, fertilization, pruning, harvest, right? How to get quality yield, maximum yield, right? That understanding is inherent in a industry which is now what about, starting at, you could say, 1838, 39 is when the first consignment of tea was shipped from Assam to UK. So it's nearing 200 years of expertise which has been built, right, in this industry. And but this expertise has not yet gone out of the industry to many of the botanicals world. So that's an opportunity. Similarly, post-harvest, right? Pretty much the model of tea industry, coffee industry, maybe also very similarly, but tea more so. You have the plantation and, you have the factory and you have a captive plantation, right? So the post-harvest, that realization that post-harvest processing is extremely important, and therefore having the factory right in the garden is extremely critical, which is what has contributed to success of the tea industry globally, right? Because that has been the single biggest reason for getting to the quality, right? To ensuring the right quality, right? And consistency. So that simple transformations, plus the post-harvest processing, the other thing which is unique is that these simple transformations, right, of fermentation that we call, or maybe oxidation is a better word, whether in tea or in coffee, right? The industries have mastered those simple transformations and can do it without the need of an HPLC or an LCMS, etc., day in, day out, being able to control 4 molecules called catechins, 4 different catechins, being changed into about 30,000 different compounds, right? And with so much of consistency without any instrumental measures. So that has come through by designing the equipment, by ensuring practices, right? So a lot has gone into that. So that comes by nature in the industries, in the plantation industries like tea and coffee, right? And they can be of great help to the medicinal industry as well. The herbal industry, so therefore, can the improved quality, cleanliness, sorting, authenticity, these can certainly be the other value add-ons, right? Besides at scale, agronomy at scale, and the post-harvest process, they will lead to these advantages, right? And if these are there, there are companies which are, at least what we have spoken to once this partnership started, we felt we should start looking at some of the buyers and talking to them, whether this made sense to them as well. And whoever we spoke to, OmniActive is there, Herb Artisan is there, Natural Remedies is there, Sami Labs is there, everybody felt that, hey, if this happens, it will be a game changer for the botanical industry in India, right? Because all of them are trying to backward integrate, but that's not their normal business, right? The normal business is actually starting with extracts and finding their customers from there on, right? So what could be the further value add-ons? And this is a number that I got from one of the companies that we contacted, right? They said, look, the additional value could be chemistry-guided, right? Plantations, value that can be generated, which is looking at elite species, right? Which are there. Today when we are gathering, things are there and we are gathering them, but there is a huge opportunity which sits with the elite species. And these are limited in availability, right? Whereas the demand is there. And you can see the value from, these are marker-led, right, compounds, and similarly value could be created with the print apps, the instrument that Dr. Lai just spoke about. But you can see that at least a 50% and maybe almost like doubling, right, in the case of ashwagandha, going from 175 to 300 plus, right? So there is a scope of that which can only come if these become plantation industries as opposed to the way the industry is running as of today, right? And then growing differently, right? There is a growing need, a growing value of if we could source many of these botanicals, especially from the export market, this is not probably relevant from an Indian perspective, is that the value significantly changes, right? And it doubles. A 300 rupee thing, an elite species can become 600 if it's coming from a ecosystem which is a regenerative ecosystem, right? And gardens, while not necessarily regenerative as of today, only a few gardens are probably operating in a regenerative, but they do come with a image of, when you look at a garden and you look at a tea garden or a coffee, the forest cover coffee gardens of India, versus where are the botanicals coming from, right? Tea gardens are always publicized, right? You will have it on the pack of a tea, you have a tea garden and you feel this is natural, etc. You can't put a picture of where I'm growing an Ayurvedic botanical on the cover of, right, or a tea or a Ayurvedic processing factory on the cover and expect people to buy, right? So tea industry, coffee industry have somehow, maybe they're not exploiting it well enough, but the places where they come from, and I'm telling from my personal example, I never used to drink tea till I visited a tea garden, right? The tea garden visit makes you fall in love with tea, right? And you want to drink it. But is there an opportunity for that with respect to these botanicals? Could we create a sourcing story, right, which talks about the beauty of where they are coming from, right? That's the holistic health, right? It's not just what I'm getting in a cup, but where is it getting, how does the place where it's growing look like? Does that place look healthy, right? If that place looks healthy, maybe I look healthy. So those are kind of stories that plantation industry can really look at, right? And when we speak about, when we talk to the global markets as to where do they think consumers are shifting towards, these are some places where the consumers are shifting towards. So of course, there are other benefits that probably plantation industry would have even a better, a longer list, but there's a secondary income because many of these things don't need to, can grow along with the tea plantations. There's a better utilization of labor through the seasons if you select for the right things where tea production is lighter. At what time do which of these 1,000 botanicals are the right ones to suit in the tea cycle or the coffee cycle, right? Soil regeneration can happen. Biodiversity is always a plus, right? And so going from a monoculture to multiculture can happen, right? So just talking one slide about the university where I come from and the knowledge base that we've been working on over the last 30 years, right? So as I mentioned, we have a database of about 6,500 species, right, of medicinal plants, curated from authentic text. So we have all of them referenced. 4,000 of those 6,500 species, there are scientists who have traveled all across India, gathered specimens, and we have a very wide herbarium, right, where we have actual parts, the bark, the leaf, the root, the stem, whatever part is used for the medicine. So we have those in our herbarium sheets. We have a living collection in our own garden, university garden. 1,500 species are actually growing. Yeah, Bangalore is gifted with a weather where a lot of different things can grow from different biogeographic regions. So 1,500 or so grow on our campus. We have a nursery where 650 of those species can actually be upscaled and we can provide material. We also have moved into a food plants database. So looking at which of these species can be used as wild edibles, because wild edibles is another theme which is coming up to bring diversity to our food plates from a microbiome health perspective. And we have a pilot food forest, a very small 3,000 square foot area where we are growing 80 plus species in that little, garden. Yeah. So now coming to a UPASI pilot that we started, right, just 3 months ago. Yeah. So we were given some GPS locations of, so we were given some GPS locations, right, by UPASI and said, okay, these are the latitudes, longitudes, this is the altitude. What will be out of those 1,000 species, which are the ones? Give us, say, top 10. And there were certain criteria which were set, like they should be high volume traded, various criteria to be set. So we went around looking at creating a long list of what all from our database, because our database also has where do these things grow, what kind of soil do they like, how much water do they like, etc. So we created a list of botanicals, a long list as we call, right, from this. We had the geolocation, we took the agroclimate, agroecology parameters, we went to our database, which we call Indian Medicinal Plant Database or IMPLAD, and then we coupled that with the BSI Flora's databases, right, which are the Botanical Survey of India's databases for each, which are state-wise and give us drill down to district level information, right? And we pulled that entire information together along with the status, the RET, the threat status, the habitat, the propagation, the economics, the trade value, and identified a few plants, right? So this is how we went about going around, created long lists of plants. This is an Excel sheet, just a snapshot from an Excel sheet that we have. And we identified for the Nilgiris regions about 295 total plants, from Coimbatore region 606, Chikmagalur, the GPS location 583, and so on. The last number shows the total number of plants we identified from our database that could be grown in those locations. And where are they coming from, whether used in Ayurveda or Siddha, etc., that's kind of mapped, right, in this chart, right? And then looking at the really high volume traded, right, and the volumes traded are given in the column, we then had mapped the top few which fit in there. And from this we made a selection, and there are 23 of these plants which are right now growing in, I think, 4 pilots, one in UPASI, one in Valparai, and 2 in private gardens, right? So we're looking at, they just got planted 2 months ago, and we'll be following them to look at how they take on, what are the kind of practices, the package of practices we need to develop in the plantations So it's a 2-3 year pilot which will go on, right? But we also, so that's 23. But for the purpose of this meeting, then we decided that, hey, this is a tea and coffee industry. So let's look at how some of these, out of the 50 or so that we had identified the long list, which ones would actually get blended with tea, right? And see, can we taste them with tea and create interesting blends, right? So our first exercise we have done, we shortlisted together with Pubati Raj and his team, TRF, with Victor, 10 of these plants that we selected that were part of the pilot, right? And we did some tasting exercises with these, had criteria, created 60 blends. These blends were essentially only one ingredient and a tea at a time, right? Finally, if we start looking at commercial, there'll be more complex blends. But it's just to get a sense of the tasting, right? And they were chosen for various reasons. We went through an exercise of what particles how should we grind it down, what particles to select, where would a blend work, right? So that there'll be no segregation, had to look at densities, etc. And then make the teas, right? And we evaluated a range of 2 to 5% range. And you can taste some of those teas outside. There is a stall where there are 5 teas made from this with black tea, CTC, and 5 from orthodox, right? And please do taste, take a few minutes and do taste them and give your feedback, right? We collected our own when we were tasting. We had our own notes. When we had the herbs, we made infusions on their own separately without any tea in there and created notes. What was the color of the infusion, the aroma, flavor, the taste, the aftertaste, the mouth feel, right? Just to get a sense as to which ones would not change, if they were neutral in color, which means they would not change the color of the tea, right? If they were neutral in taste, they would not change the taste of the tea. So you could add them at a higher level for efficacy, etc., right? And so this matrix was created, and then a similar one for the blends that we created, right? Along with all this information, we also have a lot of Ayurvedic parameters for these ingredients. I have just 2 more slides, so 2 minutes and I'll be done, right? And so Ayurveda looks at, very interestingly, its own vocabulary of trying to understand the biology of these ingredients, right? And what we call as the rasa. The rasa is an in-mouth experience, but what is interesting is that over thousands of years, that in-mouth experiences has been correlated with health benefits, right? What will a sweet taste do? What will a sar rasa do, an amla rasa do? What will a tikta rasa do, a kattu rasa do? And interestingly, kashaya or astringency, which is what we associate with tea. Actually, we associate madhur, amla, bitter tikta, and kashaya. 4 ingredients, 4 rasas are there in tea out of 6. And very few ingredients in nature which have multiple rasas in there. And how they impact the 3 basic dimensions of health, vata, pitta, and kapha, right? And there are algorithms to do that, right? And then you could play around with creating a blend and see how you can increase or reduce on any one dimension. And we have that kind of an information for all of these plants, right? The information from the Ayurveda perspective, the rasa map, the biophysical and the biochemistry map from an Ayurveda perspective, right? And also the modern chemistry, where we have the antioxidant map, the polyphenol map, and the whole metabolome, right? 2,000 molecules here in amla itself, right? And being able to connect each of those molecules with the network pharmacology as to which molecule interacts with which of the 20,000 proteins that we have in our body, and therefore what pathway do they affect, right? The network pharmacology. So bringing the whole power of omic science and Ayurveda and integrating it together, and that's where we will start moving these blends toward as we move forward. Yeah. So, yeah, that's just, I've mentioned where the status is, and hopefully as the pilot progresses, there'll be more news. But yeah, with that, I'm happy to answer any questions if you have. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Gurmeet. I think we have a stall out here where these teas are available for tasting, and I would, because we're running out of time, so I would suggest you all reach out there. Oh, one question, huh? Okay, so ED would like to ask a question.
Myself, Muthu Kumar. I am the Executive Director, South India TBO. Actually, now the blending is happening a lot of in tea industry.
Yeah.
This is now you are talking about natural infusion, okay? Suppose any maybe ashwagandha or tulsi or something. Suppose this natural infusion is one hand, other hand is the similar natural identical infusion synthesized by the chemically, okay? So both are same, physically or chemically. What is the reaction in the human body? Then what is the second, what is the cost effectiveness about the natural infusion and natural identical infusion synthesized by the chemical? What is the difference of both physically or chemical, or what is the reaction in the human body? What is the cost effectiveness?
See, when we talk about getting nature identical, right, largely volatile molecules has become popular for nature identical, non-volatiles are not that popular. We have just a few molecules that vanillin as opposed to vanilla extract. Vanilla is very complex, the price is very high. Vanillin is cheaper, right? The price difference will at least be double, if not 5 times in many cases, right? That's okay for a sensorial maybe, right? But if you are trying to play in the whole area of infusions of goodness, as we said, then you need to look at the whole complexity, why, right, the whole extract was used, why the infusion was used as opposed to a certain molecule which is nature identical. There's no nature identical extract. There's a nature identical molecule, right, which smells like banana, which smells like vanilla, right? But there's no extract of banana. That is not nature identical, is not possible. In my last slide, I just showed amla, right? 2,000 molecules, right, that we've identified. In tea, when we work, 30,000 molecules we identified, right? There's no way to make a nature identical tea, right? 1 or 2 molecules, I can take theanine, I can put a catechin, I can put one theaflavin from somewhere and say this looks like tea, feels like tea, and maybe there's a business model to there. But if you're looking for goodness, the goodness comes from the complex mix, right? And that is required, because we do see from our study that when we have the whole mix and we throw that whole mix into our algorithm to see where all it interacts in the body. And we have platforms, just like the AI platform, we also have similar platforms where we have the 2,000, 20,000 proteins, the 20,000 genes of the human body, and we can take our botanicals, our extracts, the molecules we can categorize through metabolomics, and we feed it into the system and tell us where all will it, which all proteins, human proteins does it interact with, which all genes will it interact with. It comes with, these are the interactions, level 1, level 2, level 3. Then we can cluster them together because we have some understanding of these proteins and genes as to what body function, what disease function do they cluster towards. These are 20 interactions, they are all in the metabolic health cluster and therefore can impact diabetes or cardiovascular health. And then we start getting a sense as to why they were used. Then we take that information and integrate it and check against the traditional knowledge information as to what were they getting used. If it gets corroborated, that's a plus. If it doesn't, then there's a new insight, right, which is generated, a new hypothesis which is generated. So it's a very fascinating cutting edge area, right, which is moving on. Yeah.
Okay. We are facing a serious problem of pyrolysis alkalides in our exports. By mixing these compounds or by growing, will it create any problem for our pyrolysis alkalide content in our teas?
You're saying when you combine them in tea and sell as a blend?
Even, growing also some
in the growing itself?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, any problem we'll have to challenge. That's a challenge.
No, but
that's a major problem for our
no,
exports.
I think pyrolysis alcohol is one of the screening parameters. So these are screened for that. Only then it passes. So it was mentioned in his presentation that's one of the parameters it's screened for.
It is some of that helps, what you also that contains very high amount of pyrolysis alkalides.
Yeah. So
But,
I mean,
even our weeds, from the tea fields, even after controlling all the weeds, we are getting very high level of PA. But by growing this, will it have any impact?
No. So one, we use that as a screen because that was told to us by UPASI to use that as a screen. So the plants we selected were selected after whatever passed through that screen. But besides this, there may be other such problems which may emerge, which we'll have to tackle, right?
But
So our selection will be based.
for PA content of all these herbs? PA content of all these herbs, you have any data?
I don't have any data. This data was taken from literature. We've not done any measurements. right?
So while,
Yeah.
please discuss offline, I think Dr. Victor also has this information because we're working together on that.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Dr. Gurmeet, for that excellent presentation. I would also like to mention here that this initiative, this is both in terms of crop diversification and value addition in one go. It was initiated by our past chairman, Mr. N.P. Cherian, who continues to spearhead this as chair of the Research Collaboration Committee at UPASI. So now I'd like to call on the Vice President to present a memento to Dr. Gurmeet.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to one and all. I have the pleasant task of delivering the vote of thanks. As we conclude today's technical session, we had the opportunity to hear several insightful papers covering a range of topics highly relevant to the challenges we face today. The plantation sector is grappling with unprecedented global pressures, alongside rising production costs that hinder our global competitiveness. The discussions held here today will certainly aid us in developing more effective strategies to address some of the critical issues facing this vital agro industry. I would now like to extend my sincere thanks to Dr. P.V. Arvind, Professor and Chair of Energy Conversion at the University of Groningen, for his outstanding presentation of Going Carbon Negative Options for the Plantation Sector. A heartfelt thanks to Dr. Amitava Akuli, Associate Director R&D at SEDAC, Calcutta, for his excellent presentation on AI-based aerial imaging solutions for detecting pest attacks in tea. I will also express my gratitude to GVK Naidu, Director Westphalia Fruit India, for his insightful presentation on the prospects and challenges of avocado planting in South India. Thank you to Mr. Alan Lai, founder and CEO of Profile Print, Singapore, for his engaging talk on quality profiling using AI. A special thanks to Dr. Gurmeet Singh, Professor and Dean of Research and Outreach at TDU Bangalore, for his excellent presentation on the blending of botanicals, opportunity for the tea sector. I would also like to thank the media, both print and visual, for covering this session. A big thank you to Messrs. Farmado Crop Science Private Limited for sponsoring the folders, and to the Tea Board and Coffee Board for providing tea and coffee to our delegates. I also extend my gratitude to Messrs. Chennai Metex Lab Private Limited for sponsoring the program booklet for our annual conference. Thank you to Messrs. KDHP Company Private Limited and Messrs. Tata Coffee Limited for sponsoring today's lunch. I also thank Messrs. ABT Company Limited, Harrison's Malayalam Limited, Pari Agro Industries Limited, and Sri Vasuprada Plantations Limited for sponsoring tomorrow's lunch. Finally, a warm thank you to all our distinguished guests and participants for your attention and for joining us today. Your presence is greatly appreciated. Thank you all.
We'll reassemble at 2:45 p.m.